You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, NBC Peacock soap opera fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube, and today we want to talk about the big reveal coming the first week in May sweeps on Days of Our Lives about Nicole Walker's surprise pregnancy on Days of Our Lives. This is huge news if you know her medical history, and we're going to dig right into that in just a second. If you haven't already subscribed, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives updates, spoilers, and news. Now let's dig into this. So this coming week on Days of Our Lives, the week of May 1st through 5th, Nicole Walker is going to feel very sick. She's going to have pains, and she's going to be taken to the hospital. If you know anything about Nicole's medical history, you know that she has this uterine scarring, and that's why she cannot take a baby all the way to term. But she has gotten pregnant a couple of times, and it looks like she is pregnant again if the early spoilers that have come out can be trusted, and it looks like they can be. So real quick, we're going to take a look back at her past two pregnancy losses, whose child they were, and what the big deal is about this pregnancy and the who's the daddy storyline that must come during this. So already, Nicole Walker thought she had scarring and couldn't get pregnant, so she wasn't using birth control, and she got stuck in an elevator with DiMera, and this was years back, and you know, she's had the hots for him for quite a while, and they didn't use protection because she wasn't thinking she could get pregnant, and she did, but then she started hemorrhaging and was losing the baby, and she was taken to this shady doctor named Dr. Dick Baker, and she lost the baby, and he told her that she would never come to term with a pregnancy because of uterine scarring. For a while there, people suspected that she had a baby that survived simply because they wondered about this shady doctor and just lots of things. And Nicole was also having these kind of hallucination fantasy things about having this baby with EJ. And she was desperate to keep EJ. And so even after she lost the baby, she decided to continue faking the pregnancy. Nicole got a pregnancy pad. She was carrying on the whole schlemiel. At the same time, Sammy Brady had also gotten pregnant by DiMera. So Sammy gave birth to Sydney DiMera, and Nicole stole the baby, and she did this whole plot where it would look like Sammy's baby didn't survive and Nicole had the kid. And eventually it all came out, and Nicole had to give the kid back. And that is still a sore spot for Sammy, who does not like Sydney to be anywhere around Nicole Walker. And that's a problem right now because Nicole and EJ are back involved. That's not the only time that EJ and Nicole got pregnant, though. Then a little while later, she got pregnant by EJ again. This time, she decided to keep it a secret. And so she was good friends with Dr. Daniel Jonas, and he agreed to fake the DNA test and say that he was the baby daddy. But then when she was late term in her pregnancy, about 8 months, I think, she got into an altercation with Jennifer Horton. And the thing is, the baby had died. Nicole knew the baby was in her belly, but the baby had died, but she hadn't gone through the labor and delivery process like you have to do when you're that far pregnant when you lose a baby. Anyway, she got in this altercation with Jennifer Horton, and she fell down a flight of stairs, and then she gave birth to this stillborn child because the accident pushed her into labor, and she blamed the stillbirth on Jennifer Horton, which of course is terrible. And it's also a callback to that more recent storyline where Gwen's baby had died in her belly, and then she fell down the stairs and blamed Abigail Devereaux, who of course is Jennifer Horton's daughter. So both Jennifer Horton and Abby have had this run on them first by Nicole and then by Gwen Rizchek. So later, though, Nicole did come clean about the fact that the baby was already dead before the thing with Jennifer caused her to fall down the stairs. So right now, and for years, it doesn't seem likely that Nicole Walker is using any birth control at all. She's been warming EJ's bed for a while, and the other day she had drugged biscuits and she had sex with Eric Brady. And so there's this whole wrinkle with her being in pain. You would think, okay, she's been pregnant for a while. It can't possibly be Eric's baby, but this is Salem. This is Days of Our Lives. Time moves strangely, and so do pregnancies. And so we can't say right off the cuff, it's definitely EJ DiMera's baby. There's no way that it is Eric Brady's baby. So we have to think about this. E.J. DiMera already has 2 children. He's got young Sydney with Sammy Brady, and then he's got grown son Johnny DiMera. And he is a dad already. He likes being a dad, and he's enjoying his relationship with Nicole Walker. However, she lied to him about anything happening to her while she was high on the biscuits. She said she had gone over to Basic Black and just cut up some of the clothing, but she was flat out lying because she went over, ran into Eric, was fantasizing about him as a priest. He was fantasizing about her in a bikini. They decided they needed to get those clothes off, and then they did the deed. Sloan Peterson showed up and knocked at the door and basically barged her way in and saw them in bed. That's when Nicole hilariously called her Sloanie Baloney and was kicking her leg around. Since then, Sloan has decided to forgive Eric for this indiscretion because it wasn't intentional. He was on drugs. They were not in a committed relationship. She had kind of called things off with him earlier that day. So she's just decided to do a reset on this. But next week, when Sloan is around EJ and Nicole, she is going to have this little slip of the tongue. She doesn't know, as far as we can see, that Eric has promised Nicole that they wouldn't talk about what happened. But he should have talked to Sloan about that because Sloan doesn't think about it. And, you know, maybe she thinks that Nicole came clean and got a forgiveness pass like she gave to Eric. So when she says something, it is in innocence, but it's all going to blow up in Nicole's face. So the question becomes, whose baby is this? Meanwhile, Eric Brady has no biological children of his own. He's always wanted to be a dad, and he was a former father as a priest, but he wants to be somebody's daddy, and it's never happened. He got Sarah Horton pregnant, and their baby Mackenzie died at birth because of a terrible car crash. So that devastated him, and then he got Jada Hunter pregnant, and she decided to have an abortion, and while he agreed that was her right, he was again devastated because it was another chance that he could have had a child. And so when Nicole turns up pregnant, of course, EJ is going to want it to be his, but might suspect that it's Eric. Eric is going to want it to be his, but suspect it might be EJ's. And the problem is it's going to come down to a paternity test. And we know how much you can trust a paternity test on any soap opera, right? If you haven't already, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives updates, because we're going to be talking about this surprise pregnancy news as it develops. Now, back to it. So the big question is there any way that Nicole Walker can keep this pregnancy? Because the bottom line is it kind of doesn't matter if it's EJ's or Eric's if the pregnancy is not going to be viable. She had one miscarriage pretty early on and then another very late, almost at full term. So is this going to be a situation where she's going to lose the baby again? Is that why she has these pains and is rushed to the hospital? Or is there some treatment, some way that they can save the baby? Dr. Rolf's kicking around. He's a medical genius. Maybe he can help her. We'll have to wait and see, but watch next week to see the big news that Nicole Walker is pregnant and, of course, all the anxiety that's going to come with that because she doesn't want to lose another child.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.